All right, we have more changes unfolding in the U.S. economy and in the world of presidential politics. Changes that have a new proposal raised by RFK Jr. that's very interesting, something that I like, and it's not his 3% fixed mortgage rate that you may have heard him talk about. This is something that I just heard him propose and think that it could actually work, help the lack of inventory significantly, and quickly begin to deflate this bubble of all bubbles that we're living in right now. So we're going to look at what he said, what he's proposing. We'll play a clip of him explaining it as well. But before we get started, press the like button, consider subscribing. Helps the channel out, and I appreciate your support. Also, I have some exciting news. I'm now hosting a daily show over at the Notify America YouTube channel. We just launched it 2 days ago, I believe. So if you're interested, I put the link to the Notify America YouTube channel in the description below. The show isn't only finance-based. Finance type topics may come up time to time, but it's more broad-based, general events. So anyways, if you're interested, check it out. So RFK Jr., folks, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of the first independent presidential candidates that actually has a shot, has a pathway to victory in a very long time. As presidential elections in this country, as we all know, are won by the Electoral College. And the way that his candidacy in this race could end up splitting the vote, pollsters say that it's possible he could have a real chance, a slim chance. The odds are low, but they aren't ruling it out yet. And I don't know about you, but I personally like RFK. I think he's a good man. I think it was terrible what they put him through these last few years, effectively making him persona non grata and outcast for all intents and purposes, all for giving his opinion based on facts that certain people in power disagree with. Well, it's been a long battle for him. After years of not being able to be heard at all, effectively shunned by all major media, even after announcing his candidacy. But he made it, folks. At least as of now, it looks like he will be on the ballot in all 50 states as an independent. And part of his platform, a key part of his agenda, is housing. He's been talking about it more and more. He says his goal is to get all 20 and 30-year-old Americans into homes if they want one, and make it more affordable and easy to buy a home. Watch.
Vision. I think people need to hear about a vision for this country that is going to restore the industrial base, that is going to restore the middle class, that's going to get a generation of kids into homes, into houses. And I think we ought to be asking our politicians how they're going to do that. I'm the only politician who's talking about that. I'm the only one who's offered solutions for that.
All right.
So what is his plan? Saying that is easy, but accomplishing it is a completely different thing, right? So how is he planning on doing it? Well, he has a multi-pronged approach, he says. I'm going to play a clip for you to hear so you could see what he says about his plan, and then after we'll dissect it, because I really like one of his ideas. One of them I think would actually work and is a great idea. Another part of it, though, not so much. Here he is. Watch this.
I have a question on housing. I know this is something that you referenced to. This is actually one of the areas that I've seen you get a lot of attention on. This plan, I believe it is to give all homeowners, or the first-time homebuyers, a 3% mortgage. Could you lay that out? We see a tremendous amount of interest from our audience on housing, about the ability to buy, and just your views both on the housing market and your plan in order to make it more affordable.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a whole lot of different issues. I'm very focused on making sure this generation, the 20s and 30-year-olds can get into homes. So that's one of the issues. I'm also, there's a number of other things we can do. There's a $100 billion surplus that's supposed to be used for housing in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, $110 billion. And I'm going to unleash that and create housing stock. I have a panel of economic advisors, a wide range, and they're all focused on this, removing tax benefits to corporations that are using federal loans to buy houses, home equity loans, those kind of loans, and also supporting or creating legislation that will make it impossible or make it penalize with tax treatment the accumulation of single-family homes by large investment houses and hedge funds.
Got it.
So let's be clear, a fixed 3% mortgage for everyone is a terrible idea. The government coming in imposing a 3% rate across the board is bad. I don't like that at all. It won't work. Anytime the government comes in and tries controlling the market, it backfires terribly. What that is yield control, a form of yield control. All it will do is eat up the inventory, drive up home prices even more. But his idea for changing the law or creating legislation to penalize with tax treatment, he said, for corporations who buy up single-family homes. So not make it illegal for a business to buy a single-family home, but if you're a corporation, the more single-family homes that you buy, the more expensive it becomes for you tax-wise. I really think that actually could work, because you gotta realize the cap rate for an investor buying and renting out a single family home has a small margin. If your interest rate increases 1 or 2 points, the math may no longer work. And I'm not pro tax type of person. In fact, normally I wouldn't think that the government has any place in solving a problem like this whatsoever. I want the government out of our business as much as possible, but this is becoming more and more of a campaign issue. Politicians continue to bring it up, continue to raise it. Eventually, the government's going to do something about it. And it's better that they do something that actually works than screw the housing market up even more. And I do think something like this may be a good idea, only for single-family units, obviously, though. It doesn't affect a corporation's ability to buy multi-family properties or anything like that. Only single-family, which are intended for families. It's in the name. Right now, all the tax loopholes that exist as well, making owning a large single-family portfolio very lucrative, especially when interest rates are low and you have a large cash pile looking for a long-term investment, which is what happened, as we all know, the last 10 or 12 years, was the perfect recipe for these big money funds like Blackstone, Invitation Homes, etc., who came in at these rock-bottom interest rates and combined ended up scooping up millions of single-family houses. And the problem, the real issue with what they did was where they bought most of these homes. They aren't evenly dispersed across the country. Instead, they would go into a single market and devour it, driving up the price, creating these boom towns, especially during the pandemic. So if we did have legislation like Bobby's proposing that scaled or tiered depending on how many single-family houses a corporation owns, the less lucrative it becomes tax-wise. I haven't seen the details. He hasn't released a final copy of what he had in mind, but the spirit of the legislation, I think, could actually work. Because look, we have an inventory problem right now. We are drastically below the historical average, which according to Realtor.com has been around 1.2 million active homes for sale pre-pandemic. Right now we have around 738,000. That number's been increasing, but it's still remarkably low. If we look at our maps, you can see just how bad it is. This shows all the counties in the country that have more inventory today than they did pre-pandemic. Only the colored counties have more inventory today. All the gray that you see, which is the vast majority of the country, is less than we did in November 2019. And home prices move based on supply and demand. When inventory starts rising, prices start falling. It's why the counties you see highlighted here are the same markets where prices are falling. It's not that many. A lot of Texas, for example, is seeing a big correction. San Francisco area as well. Boise is. Phoenix was last year, but now inventory is falling there again. So this is what we're facing right now. Let me know what you think about RFK's plan. If you like it, if you hate it. I know a lot of real estate investors who focus on single family will end up hating it. All right. That wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, got something out of it, press the like button. If you didn't, that's all right too. Either way, I appreciate you watching.